Welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets with Tim McMaster, Zack Rosenblatt, and Marissa Dunn.
Can't wait!
Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, check out the links underneath the video, all the great sponsors that help us put this show together. Welcome to a lunchtime edition of the Can't Wait podcast. Tim McMaster here, along with the Athletics Jets reporter, Zack Rosenblatt, and our producer, Marissa Dunn. Can the Jets get over 500 on the season? They'll have their work cut out for them against an explosive Dolphins team, although it is a Dolphins team without its quarterback right now. We have a lot to get to on the show. Duane Brown injury update. Zack just got off with Robert Saleh. He'll have that. Jets rookies drawing plenty of attention around the league from experts. We're going to get into that a little bit. And Tyreek Hill, what if? And we're starting late again. And there was already stuff in the comments section on YouTube. Oh, Connor must be back this week, which isn't true.
Oh, man.
But I think it is funny that I think like maybe it wasn't Connor. Maybe it's just like something about being the Jets beat reporter that makes you late. Zack?
Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know. At the very beginning when we started this out, I'm like in my head, I'm going to be on there a few minutes early, have those little chats we have in the beginning. This time, we had Marissa was having some like power outages and she was doing another podcast. So I'm like, I can take my time. I had just woken up from a nice little mini nap because I'm a grown man who naps in the middle of the day. Poured myself some water and then I get a text from him like, Zack, where are you? I'm like, oh crap. So I'm becoming, I think this is just what happens. You turn into Connor when you cover the Jets for the Athletic.
Yeah, apparently.
I won't talk about golf. I won't talk about golf.
Yeah,
there we go.
We also have picks. The listeners are kicking our butts. That's where it's gone. So the latest listener will join us a little bit later in the show for picks this week, as the three of us try to like just pick ourselves up a little bit. It's been
Hey, I won 2 games.
You were 2-1.
Marissa had a little bounce back week. Yeah.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
You were in the basement. You've come back a little bit. All right, let's start. We're going to talk about all that stuff with the Dolphins and everything, but I do want to start with the Tyreek Hill thing, because it is fascinating to think about the what ifs, right? Because according to most reports, basically it came down to Tyreek Hill making the decision, right? The Chiefs had offers, great offer from the Dolphins, great offer from the Jets, and the Dolphins won out. So Tyreek Hill goes there. And then the Jets had to kind of adjust their offseason plans because of this. If Tyreek Hill was a Jet, Zack, if you think about it, revisionist history, they probably don't draft Garrett Wilson right in the first round. They maybe do draft an offensive lineman in the first round. This team would look very different. And just those two things I just said probably make this team better right now. I mean, I don't know about like long run future, but if the Jets have Tyreek Hill and a first round offensive lineman, considering the state of the offensive line, maybe that guy would already be injured. Who knows? But they would be better right now, week 5 this season, I would think, than they are with Garrett Wilson and the O-line in the state it's in.
Yeah, so Rich Cimini from ESPN did like an inside, like the whole trade negotiation thing with Tyreek Hill that came out today, and he actually had like the package that they offered. It was 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, and they would have gotten Hill and a third-round pick back. So as he pointed out in the article, and it's a good point, if they had done that trade, yes, they wouldn't have gotten Garrett Wilson, obviously, but you have Tyreek Hill, so that obviously is more than a wash. I mean, he's top 5 receiver. Maybe Wilson gets there one day, but who knows? But they would not have had like the ammo they used to move up to get Jermaine Johnson and Breece Hall.
Right.
So they at least don't have Breece Hall again. Like, so let's say they get to pick 10, they're not going to draft a receiver. I know there was talk about how much they like Jermaine Johnson, so maybe they still take Jermaine 10. Maybe they take an O lineman like Trevor Penning or something like you were just talking about. I was looking at who would be there for that 4th round pick when they would have, if this trade had gone through, and that running back for the Texans, Dameon Pierce, was still on there. So if they really want a running back, Pierce looks even better than Hall so far this year, at least. So it's a fun what if, because Drew Rosenhaus quote in the article is saying, they were pitching him as like being the face of the Jets kind of thing. Like that's how, and the talent wise, that's what he is. But ultimately they didn't offer as much. They didn't want to give up their 1st round picks, which I kind of get for a receiver. And Dolphins are more appealing for a lot of reasons for a guy like that. You know, he works out in Florida, no state taxes. It's a party town. He's a young guy. Ultimately it didn't work out, but it is one of those fun what ifs. Ultimately, I think Jets fans are still happy with the way it played out because I think they are obsessed with Garrett Wilson. They love Breece Hall. I think Jermaine is even popular among fans because he's like made some flashes. So it's going to be interesting. Like when we look a few years down the line, like, okay, what is it better that they had the one guy for, he would have been the highest paid player on the team by far. So is it better that they have the one guy making 20 mil a year, or they have these 3 rookie guys who are contributing to whatever happens this season and they're on rookie deals for the next 5 years? Like for this year, for sure, Hill would have been better, but I am curious to see how it plays out for like the whole future. And like, if the Jets were not going to make the playoffs still with Tyreek Hill, would it have been worth that much? Like that's a way to consider it too. But at the same time, having him also makes someone like Zach Wilson a lot better. It opens things up for Corey Davis and all the other receivers they have, Elijah Moore. So yeah, it's a fun what if that I'm sure Jets fans are going to be playing with for a long time. And I'm sure the Jets aren't done. Joe Douglas is always going to look into things like that when like a star player comes available. I think they looked into Deebo Samuel when he was available too. Maybe they don't need to do it at receiver anymore because they have a few guys there. But I don't think they're done like trying to make a big splash move. It just hasn't happened yet, like the one that the fans would like go crazy over.
I mean, the fact that the draft went the way it went changed this whole equation, I think, and makes it a lot easier for Jets fans to look back on and not really be bothered, I think, and we're going to get into the draft a little bit later because of all the, quarter of the season rookie ranking type things that are coming out. We're going to talk about that, but yeah, it certainly makes it easier. One other thing that I was thinking about with this too, though, you mentioned like, what if the Jets don't make the playoffs with Tyreek Hill? Beyond the fact that, it's a year that maybe you wasted with Tyreek Hill by not getting to the postseason. I also wonder about, does Tyreek Hill become disgruntled at that point, right? Like he clearly is a guy who spent the beginning of his career with a championship caliber team in Kansas City. Now he seems very happy in Miami on a team that's 3-1 and looks very explosive. But, there's plenty of examples in the NFL now and the NFL in the not so distant past, like receivers who maybe aren't getting the amount of targets they want or are losing football games. They seem to get a little more disgruntled than other positions. I don't know what it is, something about the personality type, I think, of receivers. But I wonder if the Jets are bad with Tyreek Hill, what happens with Tyreek Hill there?
And there's also the factor of Zach Wilson. And, he had that great fourth quarter. But if his season looked like it did in those first 3 quarters, or if Joe Flacco is the quarterback for the first 3 weeks and he can't get the ball to Tyreek, like how quickly does he start complaining about it? Because the Dolphins have been getting the ball a lot. I think he leads the league in receptions or targets or both or something like that, something crazy because their offense is so explosive. But now they get the, I guess one of the downsides of losing out on it is that they now have to face him twice a year. So that's also part of it. Yeah.
That's a good point as well. And they'll get to see him firsthand. All right. That was a fun what if. News of the day, I guess. You checked in on the Jets today with Robert Saleh's Friday press conference Zoom call. Duane Brown, full go at practice today, right? But still unclear what that means for Sunday.
Yeah, we talked to the offensive line coach, John Benton, yesterday, and he even said it'll be right up until the game. I don't think that's entirely accurate because they have to decide if they want to activate him off IR on Saturday. I guess they technically could activate him and then keep him inactive, but I think that would be a waste of a roster move almost. So I think we'll know on Saturday where he's playing. He looks pretty good. And we only see the beginning of practice. We don't see, 11 on 11 and, some of the more heavy lifting type stuff, but he's looked pretty good out there. He's been running with the guys that he'd run with on Sunday. I think my gut says he plays on Sunday, which is a little bit of a surprise just because, this is his first week of practice. But if you think about it, he's a guy that's 37 years old. He knows how to keep his body right and stay in shape. And, I don't think it's as big of a learning curve for him as maybe it would have been for Zach, like coming off the injury and the rest that you saw from him. I think at least that's their mindset. And then, the interesting part about that becomes what the alignment on the offensive line is, because it could be completely another, Elijah Tucker, we talked about the other day a lot. He's been the topic of the week. Like Saleh has talked about they want to have the best 5 guys out there, and if that's the case, then you would have to put him at right tackle because Nate Herbig is better than Connor McDermott. So, would they want to do that? I mean, it doesn't seem like they're worried about it because he's so unique and in his ability to shuffle across the line. He's never played right tackle technically. Do you really want to like mess with his technique and all that stuff? But maybe they're not even worried about that. They just want to go week to week and keep him at right tackle now until George Fant or Max Mitchell returns, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen for a little while. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that. I mean, before our last game, I don't even think we even broached the possibility of AVT at left tackle. I'd written, Boy Green actually pointed out that I written early in the season when Brown got hurt. I like wrote down all their possibilities at left tackle, and I put that as like the last one. I'm like, it would make sense for this, and this reason, but they're not going to do that. I wish I just said they would, and then I could look very smart. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting how that works. The offensive line, AVT has like distracted us from how the offensive line played, which was not good last week.
Right.
Zach Wilson was pressured like a lot. He saved them. He would have been sacked. If it was Joe Flacco, we wouldn't be all positive about, hey, let's all focus on AVT and not everything else. Let's tunnel vision the guy that looks like a Pro Bowler in there. We did like all the beat writers had to do a quarterly like review for each team, and I had him as the MVP of the team just because what he's done for that offense. But yeah, so that's going to be a big topic this week because the Dolphins are pretty good at pressuring the quarterback, and so yeah, that's going to be. And if Brown doesn't play, again, I don't really know it. I guess you have to play McDermott at right tackle at that point. So I guess we should consider that possibility too, which isn't exactly ideal. So that's going to be a running theme throughout the season. It feels like it's almost going to be week to week what their starting offensive line is going to be, which is just absolutely wild.
Yeah, because everybody will tell you, right, that like the key to a good offensive line
cohesion,
is guys practicing together week after week. And man, so you're saying if Brown plays, Tucker moves to right. That means he will have played 3 different positions on the offensive line in 3 weeks.
Right? Yeah, after moving from left guard last year too. So he he joked the other. I mean, I don't even know if he's joking honestly at this point. He's like, the only 2 I haven't played yet are right tackle and center. So hopefully I get to do them at some point too. Center's a little different than all the other ones, but I mean, I'm at this point, kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
But by the way, a topic to like to along with that, I guess. I didn't cover the Jets at the time, but when they traded up for him, I think some experts criticized it for it.
They did.
The idea, the guy like trading up for an interior lineman, and so a lot of Jets fans have made sure like at some of the people that were criticized his job for him because they. It's still early in the season, but yeah, he looks very promising and looks like a guy that's going to be here for a long time.
And if I remember correctly, like the Jets said, one of the selling points was like
versatility.
His versatility, yeah, and the fact that, and man, if no team needs versatility on the offensive line like they do right now, the week to week, to have one guy that you can kind of plug the holes with is amazing. So, but for this Jets team as a whole. Well, actually, one more thing, like practice-wise, how do you think that's worked out? I know you only get to see the beginning of practice, but like if Brown's practicing at left tackle, but they're not sure he's going to play, that means in theory, like he's practicing at one of the other positions for the first team, even though there's a chance he still has to get in and play left tackle again, which he's still new to. I mean, that's not ideal.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. They made it a point in the days after to say like it wasn't like he only just started getting reps on Tuesday when they asked him. They said he had been taking like some reps after practice, like they imply like by himself, just like getting extra reps in case of emergency at left tackle. Those aren't like full live reps though, so it wasn't like a real thing. He hasn't up until this week. I'm pretty confidently say he wasn't getting any right tackle reps. So that'll be an interesting part of it. John Benton did make. I thought it was interesting. He made it a point to say how they cross train everybody because they don't want to feel like they're pigeonholed and have to play a certain guy at a position because he's the only one at that position. So that felt to me like without it meaning to like a point, like we really don't want to play Connor McDermott unless we have to, guys. Like that's how I took it. What I should say, McDermott did perfectly fine last week when he plugged into the game after Mitchell got hurt. But clearly they prefer him as a backup. Maybe they're trying to get one of those veteran guys they signed ready to plug in if they have to be. just based on what I wouldn't have guessed it before last week, but based on how they approached last week, it would not shock me if he was playing right tackle this week.
Shouldn't be interesting, and we'll find out. Like you said, we'll know a little bit Saturday. That'll be interesting, and then we'll see how this team stacks up. More on how they stack up against the Dolphins later in the show. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn how to cook from Gordon Ramsay or Wolfgang Puck. Learn filmmaking from Oscar-winning director James Cameron. Even learn how to train your dog from Brandon McMillan. With over 150 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do, it's closer than you think. You know what? I have no style. You can ask my wife. But Masterclass can help with that. Learn fashion for everyone from Queer Eye host Tan France. Masterclass is accessible on your phone, web, or smart TV. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. Members can explore at their own pace, and each class is supported by downloadable materials, class guides, recipes, or more. You can find all available classes at masterclass.com. I highly recommend you check it out. Get unlimited access to every class, and as a Can't Wait listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/firstdown now. That's masterclass.com/firstdown for 15% off Masterclass. Reserve Bar is your online source for premium and luxury spirits, wine, and champagne. And now Reserve Bar offers, ready? Same-day delivery. Reserve Bar has a vast lineup of rare and hard-to-find bottles, premium brands, celebrity spirits, and limited releases that you just won't find at your local store. No one does spirits gifting better than Reserve Bar. Looking for an elevated gift? ReserveBar.com has you covered, and you can have that gift delivered right to their door. Even better, turn that spirits gift into a cherished memento with custom engraving. That's perfect for birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, Father's Day, you name it. Reserve Bar has a great feature called Cocktail Lounge. This is a treasure trove of cocktail recipes, bartending tips, interviews with master distillers, celebrities, and more. Visit reservebar.com today and use promo code WAIT to save $10 off your purchase of $75 or more on spirits, wine, or pre-made cocktails, but only when you use our special offer at reservebar.com with code WAIT. That's reservebar.com and code WAIT. This offer expires December 31st, 2022. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the young guys on this Jets team, the rookies. The Athletic this week came out with a 4 weeks into the season all-rookie team. Dane Brugler, Nick Bumgarner, Nate Tice, and Chris Burke worked on that. What a collection of writers to talk about that subject, by the way, guys. Like the draft and rookies. We
also did a podcast on it, too, on the Athletic Football Show feed if you want to listen to it as well.
Check that out. Plenty of Jets listed, so yeah.
So I want to get into that. Also, Daniel Jeremiah, who is a friend of the Athletic. He's been, in the past worked with Dane. He put out his top 20 NFL rookie rankings at this point in the season. So here's how it all plays out from the Jets, who literally made the headline of both of these stories, I think, because of the way that the rookies have performed.
For something positive.
Yes. Yeah. So Jeremiah's rankings, Sauce number 1, Garrett Wilson number 5, Breece Hall number 8, and Jermaine Johnson number 18. That is across the entire NFL, top 20 rookies, 3 in the top 10 for the Jets, 4 in the top 20. And I don't know if Max Mitchell stays healthy, if the Jets are off to a little better start, maybe he's in the top 30 or, he's starting. So you have 4 guys right there in the top 20. Then you have a lineman who went later in the draft who's actually starting for this team. I mean, it's impressive. Then switching over to the Athletic, our own rankings, they did it differently. It wasn't actually rankings. It was an all rookie team. So they went position by position, starters and honorable mentions. Running back, Breece Hall, and you mentioned Dameon Pierce, Zach. Those 2 guys are the running backs. At wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, actually an honorable mention. Despite being number 5.
Jets fans were not happy about that.
Well, it's funny in the difference of like how guys see things, right? Because Jeremiah has him number 5 overall, and he's the 4th receiver, according to the Athletic, who had Chris Olave, Johan Dotson, and Drake London as the starters, and then Garrett Wilson right after that.
It's crazy how good rookie receivers are in general. That there's like Garrett Wilson's not one of the top 3 in the eyes of somebody, at least. Yeah.
I mean, how long have we been talking about the fact that, like, if you draft a receiver, it's going to be a couple of years
Yeah,
before
it
you
used to
know
be
how
like
good
3
they
years, I
are?
feel like, when I was growing up.
I mean, Denzel Mims has lived on that theory, right? But
oh man, Mimsy.
defensive line, Michael Clemens, honorable mention. Edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson, honorable mention. Cornerback, Sauce, obviously a starter. Pretty good stuff when you look at this draft and see how it's playing out immediately. Usually you do a draft, you wait a couple of, and we even say on draft day, we're going to have to wait a couple of years before we can really evaluate this draft. This Joe Douglas draft, we are able to evaluate right now.
The Joe Douglas draft is carrying this team right now. They wouldn't be 2-2 if not for these guys. Like, the veterans have been the ones that have been, the biggest question marks, besides guys like Elijah Vera Tucker and Quinnen Williams, DJ Reed. Like, outside of that trio, everybody else has been inconsistent to different degrees and making bad mistakes and stuff like that. These rookies are just, and you could kind of see it, especially with Sauce and Brees, I would say, in training camp. And even Garrett Wilson was flashing the talent. So like, you could see that these guys were like a different kind of breed and carried themselves in a certain way that I haven't really seen from rookies since I've covered the NFL, honestly. And again, like I said, we did that like quarterly thing, and we had to do MVP, breakout player, top rookie. For breakout player, I did Garrett Wilson because I thought, relative to expectations, like, I didn't think he would be their best receiver through 4 games. And then Sauce Gardner, I put as top rookie because I saw what he's doing right now in camp. I kept telling everybody how I never saw him get beat 1-on-1, and he's played like a Pro Bowl corner. Like, I mean, it's been a little surprising because you expect a rookie to take their lumps, but for my preview thing I have going out tomorrow, I wrote a lot about Sauce and DJ Reed because they have to cover Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So I was like digging into the numbers, and Sauce, I went through all the people he was lined up with this season, and so he covered Mark Andrews a bunch in week 1, the tight end, and he only allowed 2 targets for no catches. He allowed a touchdown to Amari Cooper in week 2, but that was more of a miscommunication than like any bad coverage. Allowed 2 catches to T. Higgins for 51 yards, 1 target, Jamar Chase, 0 receptions, 1 target, George Pickens, 0 receptions. Deontay Johnson, one reception, 2 targets, 5 yards. Chase Claypool, 0 reception, 2 targets. Like, he's committed 0 penalties. So it's pretty wild to have a rookie corner come in and just be as locked down as he is. Like, I legitimately think they have 2 Pro Bowl cornerbacks right now. I doubt they would both make it, but DJ Reed's been even better than Sauce. So they should be very thankful about that. Brees, it feels like he's on the verge of, taking the next step and becoming like a guy everybody around the league's talking about. He's already emerged as the RB1. He's getting more snaps, touches. He's playing more in the passing game. I mean, we've talked a lot about Garrett Wilson on the show. I don't think I need to dwell on that more. And then Jermaine Johnson seems to make a play every week. I know fans want him to play even more than he has. Max Mitchell, fans were mad that at both Daniel Jeremiah and The Athletic for leaving Max Mitchell even out of being mentioned. That's how passionate they are about the kid from Louisiana, who before the season none of them had probably heard of. So it's wild to see. And I guess I shouldn't say Michael Clemens because I'm scared he'll come after me if I don't. I'm just kidding. He wouldn't do that. He's actually a nice guy. But this rookie class, like, especially for how much criticism Joe Douglas has gotten and probably deserves for that 2020 class, like, this has got to be one of the better draft classes in team history, at least based on the earlier turns. Like, a lot can change, obviously, but like anything this team does this season, I think you have to start with, whatever Zach Wilson does and then this rookie class.
Yeah, incredible. And I'm sure there'll be new lists at the halfway point, at the 3/4 poll, at the end of the season, and we can keep monitoring what everybody thinks. Because obviously I think our viewpoint's a little different than the like covering the Jets week to week people who are looking at all the rookies across the league. So that's why I thought those 2 write-ups were fascinating, because of how quickly they've taken notice of what the Jets rookies are doing. All right, we're going to switch up the order a little bit. We usually do picks at the end of the show, but our listener picker this week has a limited time window. So welcoming in Sean Tompkins right now. Sean, available on Twitter at NYJetsFanTweets. Sean, what's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I've been dying to get on here and talk some Jets, so I appreciate Marissa following up with me.
Thanks for being a loyal listener.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And commenter.
And I know we We almost had you on last week. The timing didn't work out, so good to have you on this week. But what happened last week is Boy Green went 3-0. So suddenly there's pressure on the listeners because you guys are in the lead at 6-6 due to the futility of the rest of us here. But before we get to the picks, just tell us a little bit about, your Jets fandom, where it came from, how long you've been rooting for this team.
Yeah, so I'm a '90s baby. I'm 30 now. So for me, the first when I can initially remember following the Jets actually came probably after the '98 playoffs. I don't really recall watching that very much, but I do remember the early 2000s, the 2001 and 2002 playoffs, losing to the Raiders, where my fandom actually came from. What's interesting. So I grew up in New York. I live in Denver, Colorado now, but. My dad was actually a Patriots fan, and the reason he was a Patriots fan was he did it to kind of tick off his friend, his buddy Bob Hurley. He was a longtime season ticket holder. He had tickets at the time, what was it, at Giants Stadium for like 8th row, middle of the field. So when I was a little kid, I was probably like somewhere between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. He had bought me a bunch of Jets stuff for one of my birthdays just to kind of tick off my dad. And when he did that, actually, I just, fell in love with the Jets at that point. He started bringing me to games. Some of the games I can remember going back to actually relevant for the Dolphins game this week. I remember a 2004 Monday night game. The Jets had beat the Dolphins. I think it was Lamont Jordan and Curtis Martin each rushed for 115 yards that game. So, I would say, really dates back to probably about 2000 is when I really started following the Jets. I've just been an avid fan ever since then. It's kind of what I do. It's my, in my free time, just follow you guys and make my comments.
Well, we appreciate, you being a loyal listener over the years we've been doing the show. So, all right, on to the picks we go as we try to pick things up after the last couple of weeks. I'll go first. I usually say the leader goes first, but I like to save the listeners for last. So we'll let you go last, Sean. I'm going to go first. And I need to spend more time on these picks, which once again, I didn't. I was throwing them together while we waited for Zach to join the stream. But here we go. I'm going to go with the Browns. The Browns have been good to me for the most part this year. I've taken them a lot, Marissa. I don't know. It's just the numbers. It's always a small number one way or the other. So Browns plus 2.5 versus the Chargers. I like that. Then I'm going to go Vikings minus 7.5 versus the Bears. The one thing about this is that half point's a killer.
I think it's 6.5. I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, I would that.
Yeah. Oh no, it's 7.5. You're right. Yeah.
The one thing about that game though is Vikings coming back from London. But hopefully, that's not a fact. Minus 7.5. I'll take the Vikings. The Bears are just bad. And then finally, in a revenge game of sorts, I'm going to take the Patriots over the Lions, minus 3.5. Matt Patricia getting to go against the Lions. And believe in Bailey Zappi, New England. Believe in Bailey Zappi, who's getting his first career start. By the way, Bailey Zappi making all of those top rookie teams. Because
there's only two quarterbacks.
Played. None of them have played. So he's the guy. That and Kenny Pickett. Those are the only two rookie quarterbacks who have played it down this season.
Yeah.
So that's what I got. Marissa, Zach, you're up next.
All right, I'll go. I have the Seahawks plus 5.5 against the Saints. The Saints look pretty. I mean, they've had close games, but they look rough, and the Seahawks look like they can score. Geno Smith looks like a really.
You think the Seahawks are feeling themselves after watching that game last night?
Oh my God, yeah, and the Broncos stink. My God. Cowboys plus 5.5 against the Rams. Just don't trust the Rams. Seem to believe in Cooper Rush. Their defense is really good. And I'm gonna go Eagles minus 5.5 against the Cardinals because I think the Cardinals are just trash. So
basically, those are all my picks too. I had the Patriots minus 3.5 versus the Lions, and then I had Eagles minus 5.5 and Cowboys plus 5.5. I mean, when I've picked the Eagles so far this season, they've done it. I'm shocked that I know they're on the road, but
I think they've covered every. I mean, obviously they're undefeated, but I think they've covered every week.
I know.
I'm shocked that spread is so low too.
The Jaguars one, it looked like for a second that might be a problem.
Yeah. So, yep, I got similar picks to you. So, all right, Sean, you're up.
You're up.
All right. So my 3 this week, the number one I'm going to go with, I'm going to take the Jets. I definitely like the Jets +3 against the Dolphins. I think, some keys there that, the Jets, we got to limit the turnovers. We're going to have to be able to pick up the blitz effectively. And I think, those are going to be 2 big things. And then we're going to have to stop them from getting outside in terms of like Mostert breaking a long one on us. So they're going to have to set the edge good. But I think that the Jets are definitely one of my picks I want to go with. And then I like the Titans -1.5 over the Commanders. And then I'm going to go against the grain here with the Rams. I like them -5.5 over the Cowboys.
I like that. I was looking at that Titans pick too. I think.
Washington also stinks.
Yeah.
The Titans are hard to figure out this year.
Yeah,
right?
the Titans are very hard to figure out. So, but.
All right. I love that the listeners always pick the Jets game.
Yeah. Well, it worked out last week. Yeah.
So, yeah, it certainly did. They're getting points. Obviously, they'll be getting points a lot this season. So, keep going with the Jets. All right. Great stuff, Sean. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Good luck with the picks. And,
Jets will be visiting you in a couple weeks.
Well, I mean, I'll be at the game too, actually. And,
nice.
Connor set the bar pretty low for us fans. So I've got some.
But it's week 4 and you've already overcome him, so it's good.
Definitely.
I feel like I know you're a Jets fan, Sean, but if you're in Denver, and we all watched Thursday Night Football last night, what is the tone in Denver this morning? Is it rough?
Oh, I work from home, so I actually haven't made my way out to get feedback from people. But on the news, they all seem pretty hung up on the fact that they're paying Russell Wilson as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and to not score a touchdown is pretty pathetic.
Yeah. It was rough. Real rough.
Nothing like looking at the box score. It's just because it wasn't even 2 field goals in a quarter for either team.
Such an ugly game.
It was just threes, 3-3.
Yeah, there's a block stick too. So
yes.
I
gotta give a shout out to the Colts kicker Chase McLaughlin. He is
former Jet,
a friend of our former Brown. So he is a friend of ours. He has a lovely wife. No. He was here.
You have friends that aren't from Maryland? What?
Yeah, shockingly. He went to Illinois, actually.
My cousin's actually the sports director there or athletic director for Maryland football.
Oh, nice.
No way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, so we got a Maryland connection. Sean, why didn't you lead with
that?
Yeah, as if you didn't know that, Marissa. We only allow listeners on that event. So if you want to get on as a listener, either
be from Arizona
Maryland, or lie about it. One of the other.
We need a Syracuse alum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Syracuse still undefeated in football too.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm Albany. We weren't very good at football.
All right. Sean, great stuff.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you for coming on. We have more to get to on the podcast. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, more on this Dolphins game specifically, plus Halloween candy and the Jets. We got to talk about that. We'll be back. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Let's face it, we're all on LinkedIn all the time networking, so why not post your jobs there? Then add the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/can'twait22. That's linkedin.com/can'twait22. CANTWAIT22 to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Our next partner is a pretty cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you've got to check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning, but with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good with one delicious scoop of Athletic Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all the things. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take care of yourself. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchases. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL22. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NFL22 to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
I'm really excited to talk to you about our sponsor, Liquid Death. You may start noticing there are some strange tall boys of beer in the bottled water section of your local stores. Well, guess what? It's not beer. It's actually mountain spring water from the Alps, and it's called Liquid Death. Why is the water called Liquid Death? Well, because it will brutally murder your thirst, and their infinitely recyclable tallboy cans are helping to bring death to plastic bottles. They also donate 10% of profits from every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. How great is that? I drink so much water a day, and I was so excited to try Liquid Death because a lot of times I drink out of plastic bottles. Not only is Liquid Death amazing water, but it's also so much better for the environment. My favorite is the sparkling in the afternoon, a nice cold sparkling water. So great in the workday. So if you want to try it, which I highly recommend, go get Liquid Death at your local Whole Foods Market, Target, and Stop and Shop stores. Or find a Liquid Death retailer near you with their store locator tool at liquiddeath.com/wait. That's liquiddeath.com/wait.
All right, let's get back into this Dolphins game specifically. One thing we haven't really talked about is Teddy Bridgewater versus Tua. Obviously, it's a difference. It's probably the reason the spread here is 3 points and not more. So when you look at this Jets defense stacking up against what he can do, I think Ulbrich said this week, looking at Teddy Bridgewater, it's basically the same things that Tua can do, which is not true. How do you see it breaking down, Zach, as far as like how less explosive do you expect this offense to kind of be for the Dolphins with the things that Teddy can do? He's one of the better backups in the NFL, but he is a backup.
Yeah. The funny part about Ulbricht's comments is he started saying that, then he's like, I don't want to say something to get myself in trouble. So I don't know what he was going to say.
I've been
next.
down that road before.
Yeah, exactly. And then he started talking about like what Teddy can do, how he feels like Teddy can move a little bit. Teddy hasn't been a starter since he was with the Broncos. And he was pretty solid for them. He wasn't like amazing. He went like 7-7, had I think 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's just like a solid game manager quarterback. The Jets obviously are familiar with him. He was in the locker room for that one summer before they traded him. He actually said this week that he credited the Jets staff for reviving his career, which is kind of cool. But yeah, he doesn't scare you I don't even know if necessarily Tua is at the stage of career where he scares you either, but he was playing really well before all the concussion drama. So the defense, ultimately, they need to get the same pressure they did last week on the Steelers. If they do that, I don't think Bridgewater's escapability is not quite what Tua's is. So if Carl Lawson and Quinnen Williams and Jermaine Johnson and Bryce Huff and all these guys can get to the quarterback, you need that, because if they have time to operate, they're going to, even if they don't have time to operate, when you have two guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that you can just throw too short and they can just make people miss after the fact, it's still scary. But if you can get some pressure on the quarterback, force some bad decisions, keep them from getting the ball to Tyreek down the field, and maybe force it just to be a lot of dink and dunks, that's maybe the way you do this. And you just got to hope that Sauce and DJ hold up like they have all year. In week 2, against the Ravens, who have one of the best cornerback pairings in the league, Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. I looked at the numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but the two of them combined for something like 20 catches, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Just 2 receivers. And that was against 2 elite corners. So it doesn't matter how good you are when guys are that fast. So a lot of it's going to come down to whether this team can avoid the mistakes that killed them for the first 3 weeks. If they avoid the miscommunication, if they have a miscommunication, it's going to be a touchdown. If they have, if a safety misses a tackle, it's going to be a touchdown. So the key is going to be the cornerbacks just playing like they have, the up front getting pressure, and then the guys in the middle of the field playing better than they have, the safeties and the linebackers.
And that's where I wanted to go next because, Tyreek Hill, obviously, and Waddle, although both those guys a little banged up, I figure they'll probably play, but limited in practice this week. Tyreek, 10 catches last week for 160. But beyond that, and they have Mostert, who can be explosive in the backfield. Fast. But maybe the guy that concerns me against the Jets is Gesicki. Because this team just struggles so much with tight ends, and they've shown that again this season so far. And here's another tight end very capable of piling up some numbers. So, I mean, it's almost if they didn't have both of those guys on the outside, maybe you could say Sauce could play Gesicki a little bit. Yeah. But it's hard to imagine them taking him off Water or Hill.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because you've seen them pull Sauce and Reed, more Sauce though, just because he's 6'4" and he has the size to cover tight ends. You've seen him cover guys like Mark Andrews. He covered Pat Freiermuth a little. By the way, I got a lot of crap last week because when I was talking about the Steelers, I was like, I don't think they have any tight end. I completely forgot that they had Freiermuth and got a lot of tweets, I think, from Steelers fans like all mad at me especially after he scored a touchdown. But yeah, so you can't really pull those corners away from the receivers this week unless you really trust. I mean, maybe they do trust Michael Carter II, so maybe he could go against one of those receivers occasionally. But yeah, it's going to be very important for the linebackers and the safeties to do better in coverage, especially the linebackers who really struggled against Freiermuth last week. I think when Quan Alexander played a little more, he got a little exposed for his coverage. And it looked like the Steelers were targeting whoever CJ Mosley was covering because he's maybe lost a step athletically. Even if he's solid, he's maybe lost a step. So I think Gesicki, I don't think he's had a great year, but they haven't really had to throw him the ball. I imagine this week they'll take advantage of it. That the Jets were talking very highly of him, especially Jeff Ulbrich. He was raving about his athleticism and what he can do. So that's going to be an X factor as well. If they can't stop the tight end, then all of a sudden they have to start focusing on Gesicki more, and that will make things more difficult to defend those guys on the outside. And you mentioned Mostert, and they have Chase Edmonds, who's also a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Like they have so much versatility in this offense that they're very hard to cover. And that's why just because Tua is not playing, the Dolphins are still very scary.
Chase Edmonds, pride of Fordham University too.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, switching to the other side of the ball. You mentioned that the Dolphins have a pass rush, and obviously that's going to be a concern for this Jets team. The one kind of silver lining that comes out of that, though, for the Jets is while the front is tough, the secondary for the Dolphins has not been good this year. Rating allowed for the year, quarterback rating around 110. Xavier Howard, I think, left last week's game too. So if they can create some time for Zach Wilson with the receiving core that we've talked so much about with this Jets team, it feels like there's going to be some openings for the Jets to have some big plays. Yeah.
Xavier Howard, I don't think as of today, I don't know if he's practicing today, but he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday. I believe it's with groin. It was listed as groin, so both of his groins are hurting him, I think, which is not ideal, I imagine. Byron Jones, I think, has been out the whole time. Keon Crossan is also injured, so they're really light at corner. And the Jets are talented at receiver. This isn't the same matchups of old with the Dolphins and Jets, where the Jets don't really have the firepower to match with them. They really do this game. So I put this in my preview for tomorrow coming out. I said if Zach Wilson, maybe this is an obvious thing to say, but if he plays as well as he did in the fourth quarter or like close to it, I think the Jets will win this game. Whether he can do that for 4 quarters, I'm skeptical until he does it. And that's why my ultimate prediction, I think I had Dolphins 27, Jets 23, something like that. I think they can keep it close. I think they can win the game. But it really does come down to Zach because, if it has to be a high-scoring game, they're going to have to match what the Dolphins do. Or if the Dolphins can hold those Dolphins receivers, then you need Zach Wilson to not turn the ball over. So a lot of it's going to be on Zach and him building on what he showed last week.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how this one plays out. I think it's possible for this Jets team to win this game. I wouldn't We'll see. I think it's doable. They're going to have to score though, right? I mean, they're not going to win this game like 14-10.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's for sure. All right. One more thing before we go. There was a video the Jets put out this week, Zach. Halloween candy. Basically, when all the players were coming in to the facility, they were asking them, "What's your favorite Halloween candy? What's your favorite Halloween candy?" I waited through this entire video, Zach. I was like, "All right, let's see him. Let's see him." There was no Chris Streveler. I just wanted to know what Chris Streveler's favorite Halloween candy is. And I don't know if he was late that day, if they didn't, if they just didn't
cut him out.
make the
He was
cut,
probably early. He was probably already out.
Early.
Good point, Marissa. Very good point. Very good point.
You know.
He was definitely early.
Yeah.
So Zach, I don't know if you're gonna have a chance over the next. You basically have 3 weeks here before Halloween.
That's true.
To figure this out, but we need to know what Chris Streveler's favorite candy is. What do you think, Chris Streveler's?
I do have a theory. I should say Michael Clemens had the funniest answer on there. He said, "I don't eat candy; it's bad for my figure," or something.
I was just gonna say that was actually my favorite answer.
And I forget who it was.
Belly.
I forget who it was, but one of them said black licorice, which is just like a psychotic answer.
That's gross. There was also weirdly like a lot of Skittles. Like,
agreed.
You really love Skittles?
No.
I think that generation. I mean, that generation. It's not like I'm that much older than them, but they love Skittles. Yeah, something about Skittles.
And they're like really bad for you. There's been a lot of stuff lately.
I can't have them as like I used to. Like I could feel it in my teeth and stuff. But I thought Tyler Conklin had the best answer. He said Sour Patch watermelons and Reese's peanut butter cups. And that's
Reese's peanut cups.
Oh, that's the number
is
one
the answer,
for sure.
I agree.
But I have
Snickers.
I'm not a huge Snickers guy. All right. Anyway, we can debate candy as it gets closer.
Reese's in the freezer. You have to have them like cold. They're much better.
They're good
cold.
No matter where they are. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah. I like the Reese's Pieces too.
But so my theory on Chris Streveler. So he lived in Canada for a little while. There's this chocolate bar from Canada that I used to when I was in sleepaway camp. It was up in the Poconos, and like the counselors would bring us back. They would like go up to Canada sometimes. They would bring us down these chocolate bars called Aero bars. They're amazing. It's like there's like bubbles in. They describe it as like bubbles in them. It's like the way they make it is I don't know. You have to look it up, but it's very good. So maybe he went to Canada. You know, he's up there. Which team did he play for? Winnipeg. Right?
You should know that.
Yeah,
I should
know.
know.
Was it Winnipeg? Oh yeah, because the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, obviously. So maybe he's just going around looking for some candy. They don't have any American chocolate, so he sees Aerobar and falls in love like I did. So that's my theory.
I was actually searching for like random candies, and I found. Are you ready for this? There's candy, kale candy.
Oh God.
All right, that's pushing it.
All right,
I'm all for like
how dare you even say that on this program?
It's got to be at his top performing level, and what better way than to even when you're having candy, you're having superfood in kale. Plus, it's green and white stripes. It's perfect.
I'm gonna disagree with you on this.
I actually I got a picture of it, but I forgot to get it ready to show on the screen for YouTube people.
We don't want to see
it's okay. Yeah, we
okay. Anyway, you don't think so? All right, we'll get the answer.
Yeah, it's my job.
Talk to Chris. I know you've been afraid to talk to him. This is your in. And that's gonna do it.
Yeah.
What a way for this show to end. We'll fizzle out. If you want to join The Athletic, you can do that $1 a month for 6 months. Go to theathletic.com/can't wait. The story we mentioned about rookies around the NFL, just a very small example of all the great content available on The Athletic. Obviously, all of Zach's writing as well. It's going to be a fun game Sunday. Jets-Dolphins from MetLife. We'll have a full recap coming up early next week. Anything else, Marissa, Zach, before we close this thing out?
Not that I think we hit Streveler, so I think that's all I got.
All right.
Yeah.
See everybody again next week.